tournament because you don't know what these teams are going to look like. Chemistry is going to be an issue. Guys that were injured, some of them are coming back. And I'm not going to lie, as a Homer Nets boy, my first thought was, oh, man, is Kevin Durant actually going to play? And after the initial disappointment, at least they let us know early. I agree it's for the best. I want him and Kyrie to start fresh next season. I'm still on my house money game for the Nets. Whatever happens. But, you're going to see guys like Collins and Nurkic, who hasn't played in almost a full calendar year, come back for Portland, giving them a bit of a boost. You're seeing guys get a lot of rest. So there's the rest factor and there's the rust factor, which I think you should put it all into a bubble, like what's happening in Disney, and you never know what you're going to get. And that's what I think makes this very exciting.
Yeah, I think what's going to be really interesting about this is, as you said, too, what it means for next season, because the other piece of this is the Tokyo Olympics are happening theoretically next summer. Now, I don't know what that's going to actually look like. Who knows if that actually happens? If there's no vaccine, Tokyo Olympics, are they going to do the Olympics with no fans? When did players have to start reporting there? So
yeah, let's operate under the assumption that the Olympics are happening, because I read an article today about Travis Schlenk, the GM of the Atlanta Hawks, and he was saying that next season's going to have to be condensed if they're going to fit it in and get back close to what a typical NBA calendar year looks like. And it's going to be hard. Some people want to see basketball in the summer. Me personally, I always looked at the basketball season like the school year. Like the finals end in June, school's out for the summer, and then players get the summer off. I don't know. I'm just so used to that. So I think if this is to work, because you can't end the finals, and let's say it goes game 7, October 12th, the last possible date for the finals, you're really going to start training camp a month later, because that is not fair to the teams that are making deep playoff runs. So
I completely agree.
I think you're going to have to look at the 2021 season as like a lockout shortened season where maybe you only do 66 games.
Yep.
You limit the back-to-backs. You limit the 4 games in 5 nights. And then you might be able to get the NBA back on a normal trajectory come the summer of 2021, where there will be at least 60 to 70 NBA players in the Olympics, maybe more.
I'm going to tell you, I have to be careful making a recommendation. I wonder if you might have to say no Olympics for the NBA players, or at least say,
that's
I
not
don't know.
Going to happen. How are you going to tell a countryman who's not in the U.S.?
I don't know, man.
It's a battle to get on Team USA.
But think about the trade-off. If you don't do that, look what's happening in the MLB. We should not take this lightly. If they try to compress the schedule, your options really come down to compress the schedule to less games, compress the schedule to more frequent games, start earlier. Those are your options, or no Olympics. And my question here is, do you really want to get in? I think they've done such a great job. The NBA has by far done the best job in terms of restarting. It's absolutely unquestionable. There's
hockey too, and then the NFL's trying not to miss any time. I think baseball is really the only one where the players and the owners are really at an impasse.
Sure. You could make the case for European football, but hockey's still not at the point that
I'm talking about American football.
Right. But I'm saying
your beloved Dolphins, their owner said, we're going to try and have fans in the stands come September.
They haven't had to actually make any of the hard plans. So as of right now, the sports league outside of potentially European football that has done the best job unequivocally, when you look at the actual things that have been done, in other words, schedules made, arrangements made, booked, everything set up. It's the NBA. The only other one you could say is, again, European football. That's been a little bit shaky. There's been some injuries and so on. That might happen for the NBA too, but they did a good job coming back. Obviously in Korea, they did a great job. But among the American sports, right now it's no contest. The NBA is the only one that has a plan done, that has everything locked in. They know what they're doing. They know where they're playing. They know how many games they're doing. They know what teams are going. And they've got commitments from the Players Association. Everything is sewn up. The NHL is still working on.
I know the NHL is still working out the kinks because you have to actually play on ice. But the NBA's got the smallest roster sizes. They're shrinking the size of the traveling party. They're probably going to be a guide, if you will, for these other sports. They're going to be that echelon that you're going to want to reach, working out logistics and things, but it's still like it's going to be tough on these players' families. I mean, let's talk about the bubble, right? So they're going to be confined to the ESPN Wide World of Sports in Walt Disney World, right? Mm-hmm. Families are not allowed in right away. And then I think they're allowed a maximum of 3. If you're LeBron James, you have 4 kids. How's that going to work? So I think they're going to get the exhibition schedule in, the 8 regular season games, and then maybe allow family.
I think it's after round 1
for the playoffs. Yeah. So it's going to be tough. I mean, imagine Brooke Lopez, right? Huge Disney fan. They're not allowed in the parks. They're going to be sequestered. So it's almost like these NBA players are going through another quarantine where they're going to be confined to their resorts. And there's going to be golf courses and outdoor dining. But it's not like they can go out, go to a movie, go to the beach. It's going to be like college for a lot of these guys. And it's going to be an adjustment. And then you have to think, right, being in this bubble, is that going to affect their psyches, being away from their families, not having their support systems? That could also affect on-court play. So I think we're really in for something that we've never seen before. And, I mean, you could see a 7 or 8 seed make the finals. I mean, we've seen that in hockey, right? We've seen this in the NFL, the 6th seed in New York Giants win a Super Bowl. This might be the first time where it may not be chalk. I mean, 4 months is a long layoff, Ben, and it's not like it's a lockout where they're trying to organize the CBA. Guys are working out, playing pickup. No, this was a worldwide pandemic. And I want to see if Giannis can return to MVP form. I want to see if LeBron's going to be even fresher and healthier, or if his age is finally going to start to show. And you want to see it like the Miami Heat, right? They're the best conditioned team in the league. They were one of the first teams where the day practice facilities reopened. They had 11 guys in for individual workouts. Are they going to run circles around the Eastern Conference? Did players gain weight during the quarantine, right? Joel Embiid, what if he comes in 20 pounds overweight? Like, these are things that are going to be huge stories if they do come true. And that's why it's hard to predict anything.
And we'll get into all the specific teams. To me, the thing, though, that you have to take away is that the NBA, what they did so well here is they have a location to play that is locked up, and the players are fully behind it. You know what you have not seen? You have not seen the players coming out on social media blasting it left and right, which is pretty commonplace in today's age. When that happens, you're going to see, Monday morning quarterbacking of, okay, this is what we should have done. Oh, why didn't you do it this way? Why is this like this? And with the NBA, you've seen solidarity. Michelle Roberts worked with Adam Silver. You had Chris Paul involved. You had Bob Iger involved. These guys collaborated to come up with a solution. And it's a pretty good solution. I mean, at the end of the day, everyone bought into what needs to be done. Now, I will say, Jason, next season is going to be a different story. You're already seeing that folks are not feeling so good about next season. I think that's going to be a major storyline, because look at what's happening when you have a whole season's worth of revenue that you need to figure out. You're not going to get your gate receipts if you're teams. There's going to be a lot of concessions needing to come from both sides. So this is why I say I think next season, teams, players, agents, everyone has to kind of take a step back, because at the end of the day, there is a global pandemic. And the one thing you do not want to do as a sports league, and the MLB is figuring this out right now, you do not want to be the league that is arguing over dollars and cents while there's a global pandemic going on, while there's bigger things in the world going on, because it reflects very, very poorly on your sports league. And for the NBA, I think you give them credit now, and I say best American sports league in the way that they've planned out their response to the pandemic, but there's more to come. They need to figure out some of the things for next season still, and the way that this plays out is going to be a major guide to that. So I think there's a lot of work to do, but for now, I don't think you can give enough credit to Adam Silver, Michelle Roberts, LeBron James, Chris Paul, all the player leaders for just getting this done and getting everyone in line to do this. They didn't even have to do a vote, Jason. The players didn't even have to vote because they already knew what it was going to be. Amazing work. I mean, at the end of the day, my reactions are, I'm thrilled that there's going to be basketball back in my life, quite frankly and quite selfishly. And secondly, I'm blown away at how well the different sides cooperated in contrast to what you see in a lot of other sports leagues. So I think, kudos to the NBA for doing such a good job on this one.
No, they really did. And the owners, too, the votes were 29-1, right? So can we play a fun guessing game on who we think the one vote was?
I think it came out that it was Utah, and it was like some weird, not Utah, Portland, that it was like they wanted to have a different playoff structure, I think with less teams or something. But it's weird because you'd think if anything, it would have been like the Hawks or one of the teams that, or who was it? Clay Bennett was coming out and making an impassioned speech. Like you thought it would be one of these small market teams that wanted to come play.
I thought it was Dolan. I mean, we haven't had much to kind of get on him about in a while.
Other than
except
some
the Knicks
poorly worded memos.
Yeah, piss poor statement today. That's unbelievable. I don't know how the Knicks still have fans. I don't.
Quickly before we wrap up, Jason, what are your thoughts knowing that the Nets, I mean, just realistically, their title odds right now, I think, are 200,000 to 1. It's something like that, 20,000 to 1 or 2. I might be adding an extra. Let's say 20,000 to 1. No Kyrie, no Durant. I mean, what are you rooting for here as a Nets fan? Do you want them? Like, is there any part of you, any part at all that says, I wouldn't hate it if the Nets were to go like 0-8, drop out of the playoffs, and get a lottery pick out of all this? Like, is there any part of you that feels that you're like, I wouldn't mind a little lottery pick out of this? The Wizards can enjoy getting, swept by the Bucks.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I've been saying it's house money, right? So no Kyrie, no KD, but you saw the Nets have 2 really good wins in a row, right? But right before things shut down, Caris LeVert dropped 51 in Boston. That was a huge come from behind win with guys on, it was LeVert and the end of the bench, and they got that win. And then the night before, they beat the Lakers in Los Angeles. So I want to see Caris LeVert prove to Sean Marks that they don't need to go out and chase a Bradley Beal. Okay, I know Bradley Beal would turn the Nets into this mega super team, but I don't want it to cost Dinwiddie, LeVert, and Jared Allen at the expense of that. I want to see what they could do as a team. And then I think the better that they do, the more motivated Durant and Irving will be when they are back healthy next year. Because next year, I'm going to turn into a crazy person because I am all in on a title. Because I have not had this in a very long time. I thought I had it in 13, 14 with the whole failed Pierce Garnett experiment. This is so much better than that. I mean, just looking at Kevin Durant, it's been almost a year. It is hard to believe that Kevin Durant plays for the basketball team that I love. Like, Kevin Durant is on the Nets, and it's still crazy to say. I know we got a tiny dose of Kyrie, but I cannot wait to see what KD will do in a Nets uniform, and I'm okay with waiting till the fall. So whatever happens, I'm back on my house money game. Jacques Vaughn's also coaching for his job. Are they going to keep him? Are they going to bring in a Ty Lue? Are they going to bring in a Mark Jackson, a Mike Brown, a Van Gundy brother? I mean, the Nets job's going to be coveted. And, just reading Nets Daily and our buddy Anthony Puccio. Pooch, by the way, broke the news about Durant not coming back before any other outlet had it. So once again, Pooch back at it. But I just, I want to see what they can do. And I want to see how they can come together and just play freely. I want to see, how LeVert is, Dinwiddie, Joe Harris is playing for a contract. So there's a lot to play for still. Are they going to win a championship?
Yeah.
No. But I'm just ready. I'm excited. I'm not going to sit here and have these expectations. I'm just excited to see them play again because, unlike one of our hosts here at Baseline Jumper, you don't get to see your team play for like 9 months. At least get to watch the Nets play a few games. So
low blows, just throwing those blows here.
Yeah, but you also had 6 weeks of vintage Chicago Bulls footage to break down and look and enjoy. I had the Nets being on the crappy end of a sweep in '98. That was my Nets coverage since then. So,
I mean, I look forward to us taking your old coach, Kenny Atkinson, and
take him so the Knicks get Thibodeau, and I laugh my ass off. Please take him. Kenny deserves another shot.
Bulls management, if you're listening, give me Kenny Atkinson. Zach Lowe had the best take on this recently. I want to say it was last week when he was talking with Dwayne Casey. He said that you never know if a coach has the ability to win the big one until they have the roster to do it. And Atkinson just has not had a championship roster on his time. Now, theoretically on paper this year, he did, but his 2 best players were injured. So let's see what he can do. As a Bulls fan, I'm looking forward to that and much more. I'm looking forward to the NBA season. But Jason, we're going to leave it here. Next week, we can talk a little bit more about the teams heading to Orlando, kind of some of the themes that we see, any other news that